Now, Willie just put up a really good point about, when somebody's being recognized, they want to tell their VP, their senior VP, CEO, COO, because you really do need that company support in many cases in these corporate clubs. They may not all be engaged all the time with what's going on in the nuts and bolts of your club meetings, but how do you all get buy-in from the company to support the growth of the club? And I will start with you, Jessica.
Thank you. Excellent question. So, as I mentioned, our club in Buckman did start because we had our CDO very passionate about the benefits of Toastmasters. And what we have done since is try to leverage his passion to spread to other members of the C-suite, different departments, because when you get that top-down support of the program, they're not just them. Even if they're not in your nuts and bolts in every meeting, they are there to tell other departments, hey, encourage your people to come, encourage everyone to go. So we've been trying to diversify that support at that upper level to drive other departments to engage with us. One such example, which was really helpful to us, is we did our first open house this past spring. And as a part of that, we actually had our CDO come in and give a speech. He came in and participated in our demo meeting. We advertised it. We sent it company-wide that he was going to come give this speech. And he came and gave a speech. And he asked us for evaluation to be sent after, and we did it. So, but what was great about that is we got to advertise his presence. He pushed people to come to the meeting. And by the time we were done, we had an audience of about 60 people at that open house. And we got another, I think, 10 or 11 members out of that open house. So really kind of leveraging the buy-in you already have and making those connections. So this is where it's crucial for the people in your club to start networking and making those connections with department heads and C-suite level. Because by making those connections, it's not just one person, you're getting buy-in across your company's head, and that pushes more and more people to really get interested in the company. And I'm going to close this out because I'm going to go red in a second with one thing that's very much helped us. Our CEO is a former accountant. You know what he loves? Math. You tell him how cost efficient the amount of training you get out of Toastmasters for the price you pay, 100% on board instantaneously.
Dr.
Thank
Carter,
you.
if I might add something, Dr. Carter, I will
Yes,
say,
you are next, Willie. Go ahead.
one of the things that they do, I really want to go back to recruiting and maintaining. One of the things that the JB Hunt Club does well is they will invite local community leaders to come in to do some type of talk around the importance of good communication skills, the importance of good leadership skills. And when those people come in to speak, guess who's going to be in that auditorium when they're speaking? You have the executives up on the fourth floor. They are going to be there because they will be interested in what is being said. So I was just going to say, one of the things that happened is, they invite those corporate leaders in and they talk about communication. They can talk about leadership. And when it comes to communication, the importance of it, regardless on whether it's their professional life or personal life, they bring those folks in and the executives will come down and see what those folks have to say.
Thank you, Willie, for that. Denise, how do you get your company buy-in?
So this is probably one of the biggest challenges we do have at Walmart, with over 18,000 associates just in the Bentonville area and several officers. I can't even tell you how many we have, probably at least 1,000 officers. It's really hard to find the right buy-in and the right members because we shift a lot. There's a lot of movement that goes on at Walmart. And a lot of different programs that everybody's supporting. So why do they want to put all their eggs in our basket, right? So this is probably one of the hardest problems that we have. However, we do have a few executives who have been through Toastmasters. We use them a lot for open houses and different promotional tools. We do have, as I mentioned, the Walmart payout incentive where they will pay for our dues going forward. We also I talked about the road shows where we will go talk to executives or officers. And really what we say is it doesn't have to be anybody It's not about their title, who we go talk to. It's about anybody who has influence. It might be someone who's a manager, but they have several mentees. They have power of influence. So we'll make sure that we talk to those people who can influence others. We also try to time things right with when it's time for annual evals. Those are great times to be promoting Toastmasters, because as people are putting that on their evaluation that they need communication help, well, here we are. We also encourage it to go on their IDPs. When it's on their IDPs, then the managers are more likely to pay for the dues also. So there's a lot of different things that we try to do. We have to hit several different leaders. We can't just, like I said, put all of our eggs in one basket with one leader, because they may be in a completely different position 6 months from now. So we have to really spread it out amongst a lot of leaders in order to get that buy-in.
Thank you. Yeah, again, your great point around it may not be the CEO or the C-suite who's the champion. It could be a director, manager. I had one club here in this district. They had about 20 interns, and they put all the interns in Toastmasters. Even though the intern may have only been in for 3 months or so, they have 6 months worth of value. They can remain members when they go back to school. So it really is, and that was a manager who did that. Not necessarily, running it up the flagpole to the CEO, because, but I think it really is, the champion can be anybody who's got leverage and influence to be able to really help keep everything moving forward. So thank you all for that.
Let me just say that those champions are very important. I don't know, we may not put a lot of emphasis on it, but we really have to have people need to understand that that champion, whomever they are, is very, very important. So since it's so important, you have to have somebody in the club that is a good networker, someone that's not afraid to go and talk to someone, because see, they have to be inside that organization to understand the organization and who does what. Because, for example, a JB Hunt, Denise is a great Toastmaster. I'm just using her as an example. She's a great Toastmaster, but I can't see her being effective in a JB Hunt if she doesn't know the culture. So you have to make sure that the officers of the club within the organization, somebody, whether it's one or two or whatever, has to have the ability to network and how to go out and talk to people, because if that doesn't happen, nothing's gonna, the club is just gonna falter. So you really, really have to have somebody that's good at networking, and that person has to be within the organization.
Here's a really great point. I have seen clubs fail because there was no one brave enough to go talk to a leader that was able to make a decision or assist. So thank you for sharing that comment, Mr. Willie. All right. Next question. What advice do you have for brand new club officers that are also brand new Toastmasters who have stepped up to help rebuild clubs? Yes, so I know we had, again, a lot of new club officers. They've come in because they were very interested, but they having trouble getting started because they don't know what they don't know. So let's start with Mr. Willie on that question.
Oh, that's a very great question, but it's also an easy question. I think that if there's a new club officers, one of the first things they need to understand is they need to attend officer training. In some way, fashion, or form, they really need to attend officer training. And they need to at least pay attention to their club sponsor and their club mentor. Because if they're not going to club officer training and not paying attention to their sponsor and mentoring, then there's a good question. What are they going to do? So I think the simple answer is that they must at least pay attention to their sponsor and mentor. I didn't say they had to do everything their sponsor and mentor says, but at least they should listen to what they have to say, okay? And then they should, in some way, fashion, or form, attend club officer training. Or if it's in the middle of a cycle, get with their area director and get their area director to have some type of educational talk at their club.
Thank you, Willie. Denise.
One thing that is key is that club mentor, the one that is supposed to be there for a minimum of 6 months. I personally think that you need a mentor for at least 18 months. because that when you roll over to a new set of officers, that is a pivotal point. If you don't have a great set of new officers coming in behind the first set, that's when things can fall apart. I've seen a lot of clubs fall apart at that point. Having a great club mentor is pivotal, and also making sure that if maybe they're not an official club mentor, they're not going to get credit for being a club mentor, still keep someone with that club that can get them going through. As a club officer, I think the biggest key is engagement, making sure not only are you engaged with your members, but all your members are engaged. Make sure that you're engaged enough to be learning more and more about your role, and that you're training that person that's going to come in behind you to learn things. Because we all know what happens when you make a copy of a copy of a copy. It gets deteriorated, right? And so if you're doing a bad job and then the person behind you does an even worse job, before long, nobody's doing a good job at all. So make sure that you're holding yourself accountable as a club officer, that you're staying engaged and you're leading by example for all of the other members.
Thanks, Denise. Jessica.
I am going to agree with my fellow panelists, a theme today. But one thing that I think is crucial is that succession plan through line. If you are a club and you do not have a success plan in place to help fill your pipeline of who's going to serve in these positions going forward, you lose a lot of those key attributes. Now, let's say that's already happened. There wasn't a success plan in place, and now you have moved in position, you're in an organization, and you're trying to almost restart your club a little bit from scratch because you've lost that key line through. I think in that case, the best thing you can do is rely on those club mentors. If you don't have a club mentor, don't be afraid to come ask your area director or your division director so we can get you a club mentor. Figure out that information that you're missing, which is, who was my club sponsor? Because I need a download of where we started and how we ended up here. And most important, and I think we've emphasized it great in the last question as well, identify your corporate champion. If you have not personally gotten to talk to your corporate champion, go figure out who that is and go have that upfront, clear conversation with them and be very transparent about, this is what I need. Here's where our club inside our company is right now. Here's where we need to get. And really be upfront with your corporate sponsor about, hey, what can you do to help us in terms of this? And go into that meeting with a clear ask. I would love it if you could do X, Y, Z to help us get the word out, to rebuild, to restructure. So I think that's kind of where I would go if you're already kind of down the road, is to get that relationship with your corporate sponsor back. Don't be afraid to network. Put yourself out there, have that key person in your officer who's going to go network. And then ultimately, don't be afraid to reach out to Toastmasters for support. That's what we're here for. Whether that's your area director, your club sponsor, your mentor, whether that's official or not, don't be afraid.
Thank you, Jessica. Great points you all made. You know, Denise, your point about having the mentor stay on for 18 months, that's a great idea. I will tell you, as club growth director, and here's a note for you, Jackie. My club growth year, a few clubs I sponsored my club growth year were dead by my district director year. So we definitely need to, that second year is critical, because that gung-ho charter group, they get tired, and that second year is really the make or break year. So thank you for that comment. And, you know, absolutely around understanding, we can help each other. So to any area directors out there, your area council meetings is where you bring all your clubs together, and that's where you can share ideas. If that one club is all new, your other clubs probably have some seasoned officers in there. You can pair them up, have them talk offline. So it really is about peer sharing of even multiple clubs coming together, and all the presidents, same as, you know, we said go to training, have a group, just be a cohort for the whole year. Same as we have cohorts at the district levels. Same thing for the clubs. Absolutely. We should have nobody out there flailing in silence. So we definitely need to help each other. So thank you all for your responses. So my last formal question for the panel: how do you address the impact of organizational changes and employee turnover in the corporate club environment? So we'll start with Denise.
I think the biggest thing you have to have is consistency. And that's no matter what the situation. And if you have consistency, then people know how to move forward. But if you're always expecting things to change with the next set of leaders or whoever's in the club, then you're going to have trouble gaining momentum again. And I think that's with anything. So as Jessica was talking about with the club success plan, why start from scratch? Start with last year's club success plan and build off of it. Change what you need to change. Also, don't overcommit. A lot of times we get super excited and we're like, oh, these are all the things we're going to do. If you have too many things to do, you're going to get none of them done. Start off with maybe 3. You can always add as the year goes on, but pick your top 3 that you want to do and make sure that you can accomplish those as you move through the year. I would also say that the continuity, I think that a lot of times people get overwhelmed when they first get into a role and they're not quite sure what to do. And so if you have some continuity, that this is how we're going to do things from here on out. And that's why the succession plan is so important in order to keep that continuity from, faltering and continuing on successfully. Thank you.
Thanks, Denise. Jessica?
Excellent points all around. So one aspect, and we haven't talked about it a lot today, is that some corporate clubs in terms of being closed versus open. So a lot of corporate clubs are closed. Some I think are more hybrid and open, but for my knowledge and experience, it's been around a closed corporate club. So one of the issues we do run into is people leave the company. People change job roles. People go into a role where they don't have the time, or they're traveling 24/7. So when dealing with that turnover, and we've seen a lot of it just in our first year, we've had turnover. And the way we've been addressing it so far is through, we do 2 annual open houses is what we've decided. And in the intermediary of those open houses, what we're doing is we are very big on the phone a friend, invite a friend to come on in. I know we started with these 2 divisions, but our company as a whole is moving to a very collaborative process for our projects. And one of the benefits of that is our various members are now collaborating with a lot of departments outside of the ones they work in. So we're leveraging that right now as a tool because, hey, you're working with finance and procurement on your project, invite them to Toastmasters. Hey, you're meeting with someone new that is outside of your normal area and now you're going to go work with sales. Let's invite them to that party. So effectively what we're trying to do is make our party, even though we are a closed club, opening it up a little wider to the broader company versus trying to stay in the box of where we've been. So effectively what we've done is as we've seen that turnover, we've tried to replace that turnover. So on a monthly basis, even if we know a person's cycling out because they're an intern, we bring in a new person to replace and hopefully 2 people so the net positive continues to grow.
Thanks so much, Jessica. Willie?
Well, I knew you were going to call on me as if I had something to say. However, let me just say that Denise and Jessica has hit the nail on the head. Change is constant, growth is optional. What are they going to do? They must network within the organization and network. Talk to others, call them up or ask them this or ask them that. Get them to come to the meeting. Now, as far as open houses, yeah, they can have open houses, but when they have open houses, make sure that they invite the heads of the different divisions. So at least they come and hear about what Toastmasters is all about. Short of that, I know the green light is not on, the yellow light is not on, the red light is not on, but I am here to tell you that was some dynamic answer that Denise and Jessica gave, and I don't have anything more to say on top of that. Thank you.
Thank you, Willie. And when you said change is constant, growth is optional, somebody threw out there that needs to be on a pillow. That needs to definitely be, a Willieism. We have to start making stuff up, Willie. Let's start branding some trademarked statements from you. Love that. Love that. Well, thank you so much. So I want to be